Hello and welcome to another episode of Laptop Retrospective, and today we have the Lenovo ThinkPad T430s. If you'd like to see my older video on the T430, I'll leave a link up there, just so you can get a good idea of some of the key differences between the T430s and the T430. The T430s came out in June of 2012, and was produced until August of 2014. It was the first of the T400S series to feature the newer style island keyboard that would be present on pretty much every other ThinkPad model from here on out. The T430S was mainly designed to be an intermediary between the T430 and the new X1 Carbon, and the design choices clearly show that. The T430S has significantly less battery life than the T430, even with the battery bay installed. However, it is nearly 1 pound lighter than the T430. This would also, on some models, feature the backlit keyboard. You'll be able to tell by the pictogram either indicating the ThinkLight, or if it's the other way around, indicating that it is indeed the backlit keyboard. Speaking of unique features to the T430S and its batteries, it did feature a rapid charge function on the 4-cell battery where you could get 80% in approximately 30 minutes of charge. That's pretty impressive for 2012. The T430S came with essentially two CPU options, the i5-3320M and the i7-3520M. Thunderbolt can be found on some of the i7 models if it does not have a dedicated GPU. Those PCIe lanes are being used for either one or the other, but they can't run both. If the dedicated GPU is present, it'll simply be a mini display port. Graphic options included an Intel HD Graphics 4000, or a combination of the Intel graphics with the NVIDIA NVS 5200. Your displays came in two flavors in 14 inches, either a 1366 by 768 variety, or this one, which is a 1600 by 900 panel. RAM was DDR3 1600 MHz, and this would support a maximum of 16 GB. Other things to note is that this would come with a Ultra Bay Slim hot swappable DVD-ROM drive on the bottom of the unit, and three options are supported here. You do have your DVD multi-burner. You also have your hard drive caddies that can go in here as well for extra storage. You also had a 3-cell 32 watt-hour battery. Reviewers at the time really did favor that Bay battery, as it helped get this machine back up to the battery life that its older brother, the T430, had. Speaking of batteries, just to finalize the discussion on it, you had three essentially available. You had a 3-cell 32 watt-hour Bay battery, as mentioned before. You had a 4-cell 39 watt-hour rapid charge, and then you had the standard 6-cell 44 watt-hour battery. So even though you're getting two additional cells, you're only getting about 5 more watt hours. Last but not least, I will mention that the Mini PCIe does support an mSATA SSD, so if you're not taking advantage of any kind of 3G modems, then you might want to pop one of those drives in if you're looking for the absolute maximum storage that you can get into this. So with all that being said, let's just do a quick tour of the ports on the machine. On the left-hand side, we have the hard drive cover. We have a SD card slot, a headphone microphone combo jack, and USB 3. Along the back is actually where the majority of our ports are currently located. We have VGA, USB always on, mini display port, USB 3.0, our Ethernet port, and of course the standard barrel plug charging for ThinkPad. And then along the right-hand side, we have the Kensington lock slot, the Ultra Bay, and a Wi-Fi kill switch. On the front, it is worth noting that we do have a screen release latch, so you want to make sure that you're pulling that all the way to the right before attempting to open the laptop if you don't want to break your catches. Lastly, on the inside, we do have an optional fingerprint reader, and the aforementioned microphone and webcam array are located at the top, just as you would expect any business class ThinkPad to have during this time period. The last thing that is worth mentioning before we start our disassembly is that the dock port does still work with one of the most favored docks. So if you want to have a good old docking station, then this is supported and you will probably be very happy with that arrangement. I know that I certainly would be, even if you want to lock it up. Let's go ahead and start our disassembly of this machine. We will, of course, start, as we would always do, with the removal of the battery. The catch is simply moved off to the left, hinged up and out. And this is an aftermarket battery, but has no issues running in this machine. And oddly enough, has a larger capacity at 49 watt hours. With that out of the way, we can obviously go ahead and remove the Ultra Bay as we would normally. And then we can start spinning out some screws. So we'll spin these two out first. And this gives us access to the majority of what we would actually want to service. So we have both of the RAM slots actually facing us. We have the Wi-Fi card, and we also have the mini PCIe slot that you would also want to put different cards into. So all of that is readily available. The only thing that we don't have us staring in the face that we might want to service, of course, is the CMOS battery, but I suspect that that will not be too far away. Removal of the hard drive is easy enough. We simply spin out this one screw over here, which is not captive on this specific model, but it might be captive on yours. And then we've got our pull tab, and this one is quite stiff, and out it comes. This is just a standard mechanical hard drive, nothing super fancy there. So the next thing to do would be, of course, is the keyboard removal. And the pictogram is a little hard to see, but it's right here, pointing inside to this screw located in between our Wi-Fi card and what would be our WAN card. We're going to go ahead and spin that one out of place. The other screw holding the keyboard in is actually this one right here underneath the battery bay. So with that removed, we should be able to pull the keyboard out. And our keyboard wiggle looks like it's going to work. And we'll lean it forward. And there's our disconnect ribbon, and there's our CMOS battery. We've got a whole bunch of protective shields on everything. And then beyond that, it would be removal of the palm rest to get access to the trackpad. Your Bluetooth module is going to be hiding under there as well, I suspect. But that would be pretty much it for maintenance that you would be required to do on one of these machines, unless you had to service some very intense parts. So we're going to put this back together and turn it on and see how it performs in the year 2020. All right, now that we have it all back together, let's go ahead and see what kind of a boot time we're looking at for a hard disk drive here. And as you can see, that's not too shabby, especially for a computer that's this old. We're looking at 8 years. This is fantastic. If you need something that's inexpensive with a little bit of battery life to last you a few hours, you could do a lot worse in the year 2020 than this guy. At any rate, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you enjoyed this look at the T430s. I think it's a fantastic little computer, especially if you can pick it up on the cheap. If you have any questions, please feel free to post them down below and I'll do my best to answer them. And as always, I'll encourage you to do the big four. Please like the video, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so the next time that I feature a ThinkPad on this channel, you'll be the first to know about it. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time.